So when we started, I said, I really feel like there's a difference between a checklist and a workflow. And for women, we are fantastic to-do list generators. Like the holidays is a great example because typically it's the holidays, it's just another layer and we carry everything around in our heads. And so finally it gets to be the tipping point and you grab your favorite beverage and you sit down with a pen and paper and you just bring up everything that you are thinking about that you need to accomplish. That is everything in the kitchen sink. But there is a huge difference between what a workflow is, which is, we're going to get to that in a second, what a workflow is and what a to-do list is, okay? And it's really kind of critical to your success, and it really helps to take out the overwhelm. Hey there, it's Rhonda Melody. If you like what you're seeing, make sure to hit the subscribe button below so you know when I publish a new video, probably any minute now. A to-do list is the overwhelming brain dump. It's that holiday overwhelm that we just put on a sheet of paper. Or if you used to be like me, I would grab an envelope in my car and write out my grocery list and then everything else that I needed to do that afternoon. A workflow is a sequence of steps to complete one task. That is it. So it's very different. So a workflow is a sequence of steps to complete one task. All right. Workflows, how can they be documented? I recommend Trello. I love Trello, they call it checklist, but once you create that checklist once, it's easy then for you to duplicate it over and over and over again. And that's the whole purpose of a workflow, is that you start it, you know exactly where you are in the workflow. And if like a child comes up or you're disrupted for a delivery or you need to get up, you can come right back and you know exactly where you are in the process. You don't carry everything up in your head. So a workflow can be manual, it could be automated, it could be a document like a Google Doc, it could be in Asana, it could be in Monday, it could be in ClickUp, it could be in Trello, whatever works for you. You've heard me say kind of over and over again, pick a tool, learn a tool, you're not missing out. You start to miss out when you think that the grass is greener on the other side, and whatever tool that you have been using, unless it just completely does not serve you, and you go to over here to this tool, well, you've got to learn the tech. You've got to create the habit. You've got to get comfortable with using the new tool. All right. So how do you create a workflow? 4 steps. Here we go. Number 1, you're going to list all of the tools and resources needed to finish the task. Every single one. Number 2, you're going to list every step taken to complete the task. Number 3, you're going to try it. Like you're going to use what you have just created. And then you'll tweak and optimize the steps until it is dialed down. This works. I have done this. If you think about my offline event, my seasonal event, it is, and I know like most people have gone like your biggest department store that you go to. I use the example of Target and I say, go in the center and shut your eyes. And then I want you to add Black Friday. That is what my event is like. It is a pressure cooker when it comes to time. And there are phases of that event. Each phase, each department is broken down into a workflow. If I did not have workflows for each section of that event, it would be a complete train wreck. It's amazing to me to kind of stand in the middle and see the distribution and see like the whole, it's a city, the whole thing comes alive. It's 80,000 square feet. There are 650 people that drop off their stuff, 100,000 items, and they are all barcoded. So how do you take all of that and organize that into a department store? You do that with workflows. That is the only way. It has so forced me into relying on this simple little system that everything that I do is a workflow. Whether I am doing a discovery call, there is a workflow. If I am completing a task, there is a workflow. For you doing your content each week, there is a workflow. For you doing your launch, you could break it down into webinar workflow. Why would you break down just specifically for the webinar? Because you need to have your email sequences there. If you're going to do ads, how are you building pressure in that campaign? All of that leads up to the webinar itself, and then the aftermath of the webinar. It's those email sequences, all of those things that you're going to do. That right there, a webinar is a workflow. A launch is a workflow. So you can see how powerful this is, because it takes everything out of your brain and it puts it someplace else. Because when you are ready to delegate, you can do that. I use the analogy of people tend not to delegate. And the analogy I use is it's like hiring a cleaning lady, but cleaning the house before she comes. And it's like, why do we do that? And when we're doing our task, we become so overwhelmed. We say to ourselves, it's easier for me to just do it than to explain it. But trust me when I say this is going to be your workhorse. I'm going to give you just really quick example of client onboarding. I mean, I could even give you an example of how to make a peanut butter sandwich. That's how I used to do this particular this tutorial that I do. But this will just show you really how to list out all of the tools and resources. And then I'm going to show you exactly where it is on the Trello board. All right. So the tools and resources that I use and need are templates, contract, invoice, how I work document, invitation to set up communication with Slack, Boxer, Google Folder, Trello board, LastPass. So all of the tools and resources that you need, they're at the very top. All right. Then step by step. And I love this. I geek out because I like taking large problems or projects, and I like getting so granular that it's like foolproof. Like I could hand it off and anybody could do it. Why is that so important? One of the things I talk about is how to emergency proof your business. What if something happens to you? What if something happens to a partner? What if holidays happen? What if, all of these things, like we don't have a crystal ball. We can't see in the future. If something were to happen and you do not have a documentation of what it is you do, how will your business go on? One of the things that Stephen, he was doing this summit, and it was kind of called, it was the last offer. If something happened to you, what would you do that would continue to generate money? How could you do that? And I tell you, for me, one of my biggest things, we are typically put in a situation that is a learning opportunity. When it was one season, Daniel was deployed, we were homeschooling, and my event had to happen. So I no longer could do this on my own. That situation, why did it happen? It was just a perfect storm. My backup was against the wall. And if the event was to happen, I had to delegate. If I had to delegate, I had to explain. If I had to explain, I created the workflow and I organized it. It was a foolproof system and it was implemented, right? Then the next season, guess what? I realized that I did not have to be present in order for my business to run. Aha moment. Yeah. Because we think that our businesses cannot run without us. With this little small tool, it's a step in the right direction. All right. So step by step, I'm not going to do all of these. Send the email, the invoice, how I work, the invitation to communicate, schedule the strategy session, handwritten thank you note, deliverables, monthly check-in, monthly billing, and then the client testimonial. So if I have I don't know if I call her an OBM, a project manager, an integrator. She is amazing pants is what she is. If there is something that needs to be done and I'm getting ready to kind of go out, I have passed everything off to her. And I have workflows for everything. Everything is batched out. It is amazing pants when you can do this. All right. I don't want you to get overwhelmed, but I want you to know that you can use a simple tool. And I mean, it works. It works. This simple tool is how I generate like $400,000 in 8 days. And you're like, okay, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money when you think about my items are only priced between $1 and $3. So to generate $400,000 is a significant amount of money in a very short period of time. And it's all physical. Okay, so very different. And then what do? So we have the step-by-step, and then we try it. Did it work? Okay, well, let's take notes on what worked and what didn't work. And then the next step after we've tried it is we tweak it. I think that, the rinse and repeat is the secret behind successful business. 80% framework. This is a framework, guys. Everything that I have shared with you over the past few weeks, we did the product launch. We did organizing your business on one board, and now we're doing the workflow. All of these are frameworks for you for your core offer to kind of get everything out of your head that's like spinning and swirling and putting it into a project management tool. It gives you peace. That structure gives you peace, and it gives you the white space that you need to not always be thinking about all the things that you are doing right now. Because that tends to, if you don't take care of yourself, and you need to talk to the Shockley team about that. If you're not taking care of yourself, that stress, the anxiety, and Stephen talks about positive stress, but there's also negative stress that comes along with that, carrying around that baggage with you. And if we can clock out, which I know it's really, really hard for us as online business owners, because we're always with our business. Like, we could work all of the time. And there is no bank clock, it's 5 o'clock, I'm clocking out and going home kind of deal. All right. So 80% framework causes success. Number 2, rinse and repeat. And then number 3 here is simple, small tools and resources are your success. I mean, really, I don't think that business has to be difficult. It doesn't have to be hard in order for us to be successful. We create these tools and resources that support us in our business. All right. When we're talking about the tweak and optimize plan, one of the things when you're working on a funnel, like, and maybe you're running ads and doing all the things, you don't want to do like everything at once, right? So we implement the workflow and we make notes, like what worked, what didn't work. Okay, I want to tweak this one thing. This is my next one big goal, right? So we tweak the one thing and then we implement it. Did that work? Did it not work? It's that debrief. And we've talked about this here in the community. When you do a launch, an important step of that is the debrief. What worked? What didn't work? How much did you spend? How many people signed up? How many people actually saw the thing? How many sales did you make? What strategies did you use? Could you improve? What is the next one big goal? The debrief is huge. And so that's the way you know that you continue to refine your system over and over again. I can tell you 17 years later, there are things that, we focus just on one area and we continue to refine it, and just, it drives a train. I talk about it as at the very beginning of the event, I feel like the train is at the station and we're starting to gear up. And then when that thing leaves, either I'm riding it or it's riding me. And I've had the situation happen on both sides. I've had events where it's just been, wait, what just happened? That was amazing. And then I've had events that were like, wait, what just happened? I feel like I was run over by the train, and then they backed up to make sure they got me and kept going again. So it is just a nice little secret, a nice little pearl, a nice little gem that I wanted to share with you. I really feel like over the past 3 weeks, this kind of ties things up in a bow and really helps to set you up for success, especially right now as we are moving into the new year. I mean, we're almost halfway into December, and we got, 16, 17 days left. And so there has to be in the back of your mind planning of what worked, what didn't work, what am I going to do moving forward? What tool or resource can I be using that will help me in moving forward, right? And so that's why I've really shared a lot in terms of Trello and the boards, this workflow process that I use. to help you. This could be a tool or resource that you use moving forward in 2020. And everything that I have shared with you comes back to what? Supporting your core offer. So if you are right now, if you have been in a learning phase and you haven't been in an implementing phase, let's get to the implementing phase. If you're in the implementing phase, then let's debrief, figure out what worked, what didn't, and then do it again. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Click the link. It's the first link. We make it super simple for any of the tools and resources that we talked about in today's video, helping you make it easy for your freedom to impact.